Hello everyone. Before we get into today's 3 indie horror books that are sure to leave your mouth hanging open, I just want to remind you real quick that if you want to help support the channel, there are links down below where you can either buy my horror books for $1 each, you can join my Patreon where you get free short horror stories and other things coming up as we get more members, or you can buy your Read More Horror t-shirt. There's a link down below for that as well. All right, let's get this started. So the first book I want to talk about today is part of the Coming Out of the Coffin series. I reviewed that book, the first one, earlier. This is a sequel, but you can certainly pick this one up and read it without having to read the first one, even though I do recommend it. This one is called Bottoms and Bloodsuckers. This is a horror comedy that, believe me, it has equal parts hilarity, blood, and it's very, very heartfelt in places as well. So it doesn't rely more on the laughs or more on the gore. It's a great balance of all those things with these heartfelt moments that really get you connected to the character. And the character in question, his name is Vlad Radu. He is a young gay vampire living in a really crappy apartment in New Jersey where he has a pretty crappy job working the night shift at an all-night convenience store that never has any customers. His best friend is Allison. She is a sarcastic, take no prisoners, always speaks the truth even if it hurts kind of character, you know. And they've been best friends for a long time because they just get each other, and she doesn't really care that he's a vampire. She doesn't care that he's gay or anything like that. As opposed to the old school vampire clans who, including his own parents, who really kind of disowned him because he is gay, which is a big no-no in the vampire community in this series. And also because at the beginning of this book, because of what happened in the first book, he made a video kind of coming out, both as gay, but also giving some information about vampires and the fact that they are very much real. He just wanted to get it off his chest. He wanted to just be on his own and be who he is without having to worry about these hunters coming after him or old school vampire families trying to target him because he doesn't fit their profile or whatever. And that was his only reason. But of course, this is going to go viral. And not only that, but a very viral, popular blog post comes out that doxes him, tells people his name, talks about his friend Allison, tells them where he works and where he lives. So he is thrust into this spotlight of curiosity seekers and people that actually kind of want to worship him because he's a vampire, which he doesn't want. And also people that just want to kill him because he's a vampire, which of course, you know, he doesn't want. And he's going to be thrown into this misadventure. And like I said, it's hilarious at times. It does get very bloody at times, and it's very heartfelt at times. A lot of the characters from the first book do make an appearance. But the thing about Vlad is that he is not a normal vampire in regards that he has morals. He does not kill human beings. He doesn't want to see anybody else get hurt. He doesn't want to drink human blood. He relies on the lesser quality animal blood and raw meat he can get at butcher shops and things, which kind of weakens his vampiric power. So he's not this all-powerful creature who could like take out a whole group of guys, you know, like you would think about vampires. No, he's very weakened. He's in a very weakened state because of his morals and refusing to drink the good stuff, you know, the human blood. And he has to get through this adventure. He can't go back home because there are people hounding him there. There's a secret government organization that seems to be on his tail. He can't go to work anymore. He gets fired from his job. He has an argument with his best friend, and that separates them. He feels lost, no place to go. He does get a new sidekick, though, in the name of Charlie. Charlie is his new familiar. His first job being a familiar. Charlie's first job doing that. And Charlie is a California type surfer, laid back kind of stoner dude who's kind of incompetent at the job because he's never done it. But he has a great bloodlust. Like he wants to go out and kill people and drag them back for Vlad to eat. But basically he's Vlad's slave, more or less. That's what familiars are. And Vlad has told him, no, absolutely not. Don't think about killing anybody. We don't want to kill anybody. And that brings some of the comedic elements as they slowly become friends, even though they have these different outlooks on things. It's fantastic. And you have to see how this one ends as well. Of course, there's going to be more in the series, and I can't wait to read them. I highly recommend this one. I absolutely loved it. It's coming out on the 30th of this month, which is just a day or two away from when I'm making this video. So you definitely want to pick it up, and there is a link in the description where you can do so. And next we have The Orchid Room. This one's coming out in June 3rd, I want to say, or really early June. So again, just less than a week away from when I'm making this video. And this is one, yes, I highly recommend it. This is like if Children of the Corn met like cosmic horror, because there's a group of kids, they're very evil kids. They live in a commune in the woods, a big facility that has basically everything. They have electricity running on generators. They have internet and Wi-Fi. They have weapons galore. It's kind of like between a Waco and a hippie community kind of thing. But these kids kidnap other kids. This area is known for having a lot of missing kids, and the sheriff is just kind of like, well, kids will be kids, they run away. That's like his thing for everything, you know, as sheriffs in these small town horrors tend to do. Kind of blows it off because they're kids. But a lot of these kids acclimate into the community. Like once they get there, they might have been kidnapped, and they might be forced, and they might be fearful, and they might fight. But eventually a lot of them decide they want to stay, and they have found a home there. And they each have the role they play. Like nobody's really in charge, kind of. Although we'll see a power dynamic as it goes along. But one day our main protagonist, she gets kidnapped, and she decides to stay, but for much different reasons, because she wants to expose them. She is not happy, but she plays along. And when all she's thinking about is how to escape. But as she meets some of the kids there, she realizes they're not all this evil kids like you would think, you know, bloodthirsty. They're actually pretty normal. They're just displaced perhaps, but they all want to belong somewhere. But in this facility, there's a little bridge, and when you cross that bridge, it is nothing but evil over there. There's two buildings. One is called the Orchid Room, and that's where people go that don't succumb to what this cult community of kids wants them to do, and they're never seen again. But we are going to see what happens when people are placed in that room and what horrors lie between those doors. And the other building hosts something that they worship. There's an entity there, like a cosmic entity that they worship. And this thing is very bloodthirsty. And eventually will start controlling this group's mind. And things are going to go off the rails as our protagonist realizes that she may be in a little too deep, and that they might be targeting her family outside of this compound. And she doesn't want to see any of that, so there's going to be a lot of bloody, gory, brutal action happening throughout this book. And again, it's one of those I absolutely loved. I love the concept of the whole thing. I loved how it played out, because I was not expecting this girl to get kidnapped and actually choosing to stay. That was kind of a thing in the book that made me go, whoa, this is going to be different. Because normally, you know, she would escape or try to find outside help. But in this case, she plays it a little different, and I really kept reading, wanting to know how this was going to turn out. Because once you meet a couple of the characters and you realize that there is kind of this power dynamic there, but it's really not good at all, because one of them is hardcore about this thing that they worship. And yeah, well, you just have to read about it. Let me put it that way. I don't want to give away any spoilers. But this is an excellent horror novel. Very well written. It's one of those you don't want to put down. I know I say that a lot, but I actually couldn't. You know, I actually didn't want to. And again, it's coming out soon, and there's a pre-order link in the description, and I highly recommend it. Next we have In the Land of the Pigs. And I want to make a correction there. This book is coming out on June 3rd. The Orchid Room is already out. So I just wanted to, I got those mixed up in my notes, and I apologize, but yeah, this is the one coming out in less than a week. This is a novella, and while it might sound like a horror comedy, it is not. It is a very bloody, brutal, vicious supernatural story set in the Old West about a supernatural event that happens that turns all the horrible people, all the people that are naturally bad and vicious and violent, and it turns them into basically demonic pig people. And they cannot be harmed by normal weapons. They can't be killed by humans with normal weapons. And they go on a bloody rampage through all these small western towns. I mean, they're, you got intestines and body parts and blood and gore and headless people and just, rivers of blood flowing throughout this book when they start this rampage to take over the world. And a butcher, a simple butcher, a good man, he has this visitor, almost angelic-like visitor, who tells him that he's the only one that can stop it. He doesn't want to. He doesn't give two asses about stopping it. But she says, hey, you have a choice. Either you stop it or you don't. And everybody, including everybody you love, is going to die. Like there's no other option. You have been chosen. And they'll get into kind of the reasons why. But he's the one that's been chosen. And she blesses his weapons with this power. He's got a cleaver. He's got this big old meat tenderizer, mallet, and those other weapons that are the only things that can hurt and kill these demonic pig people. And he's looking for the head one, the main guy, the most evil one out there, because if he can kill him, even though he's going to have to go through hundreds of these things to get to him, and he doesn't think he can, but if he can, then it's over, and he's completed his task, and he gets something at the end that he's really motivates him. I'm not going to say what it is. You'll have to read about it. But there is something in there for him, according to this being that he talked to. And what follows is just going to be like a massacre upon massacre as he tracks these people, as he's outnumbered, 10 to 1, 20 to 1, 100 to 1, trying to get his way to this main demonic pig leader, I guess you can say. The odds are definitely not in his favor. He's going to meet some characters along the way. Some are human, some are not, that are going to kind of help him, or maybe not. Again, a lot of twists and turns in here, but you're going to have to read about that. But will he prevail, or will he fail, and humanity is doomed? Because once it starts, it's not going to end until they take over the entire world, starting in these small little Old West towns. This is just a fantastic novella. It's action-packed. It's got a lot of blood and gore. It's got a great story, a great protagonist, and the antagonist, this main bad guy, is truly horrifying. And the whole situation is horrifying. Imagine pigs the size of humans, dressed in human clothes, just chewing and biting and eating through any bit of flesh they can get in packs and droves. And it's just, this thing is exciting and it's terrifying. I absolutely love this one. And again, you can pre-order it at the link in the description. I highly recommend it. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.